nostalgia is an addictive force. It is what gives us hope. We really remember the beautiful songs, remember the memories selectively, and authoritarians know that. A lot keeps me up at night these days. We have America falling into authoritarianism. We have the world in turmoil. You have crisis in the Middle East, a war rather than it's a crisis. And of course here in Eastern Europe with the war in Ukraine. So these are serious times, somber times. Sometimes I'm a student of history, and some of the parallels to the 1930s are beginning to emerge, and that's worrisome to me. It is powerful because it works. I mean, nostalgia is an addictive force. It is what gives us hope. We really remember the beautiful songs, remember the memories selectively, and authoritarians know that, and so they exploit those emotions, and they juxtapose it with whatever problem of the day to show you that, hey, wouldn't it be beautiful to go back to the good old days? Wow, I mean, this is a moment that we're going through, and my hope is that history doesn't repeat itself, but there are trends, and so now it's a pendulum swing where liberal democracy is under assault, and that after a while, I think people are going to realize, particularly in America, where we Americans think of ourselves as the only freedom-loving people in the world, which is a ridiculous notion, that when they awaken to the fact that they are being manipulated, then we're going to see a change in America. I truly believe that. Its impact, its lasting impact on people's psyche and their ability for nations to develop after brutal colonialism, where people really fail to learn leadership. When you think about it in Africa, where France and England divided the countries haphazardly, and so just destabilized these societies for a very, very long time. And this is part of what you're seeing in Latin America and parts of Asia and most of the continent in Africa. Wow, there's so many. We could start with my ancestral homeland, Haiti. The impact that slavery, although we didn't have colonialism in the classic sense, but what we had, it was sort of like a sense of we were going to be made an example of, and that's sort of like the attitude of white supremacy. There are so many. If I were to focus on one story, I would say, at least in the US, and it's not for lack of coverage, but I think people need to really understand what the war in Ukraine is really about. I don't think that's made clear to the average person, and that's such a major issue that I don't think people are as knowledgeable about it and understand the consequences and what Ukraine is a metaphor for. And so that story, though not uncovered, but its importance to our world today is not well understood. Well, I mean, I think people in general do not like to be subjugated. And we see it here in Eastern Europe, in this country, Georgia. People are fighting, and that's important because you cannot accept things lying down. It doesn't have to be violent. In fact, if it's violent, it doesn't work. As Gandhi, Martin Luther King, these people taught us, you have to have protests. That's peaceful, because even though when it's infiltrated, you have to make sure that the core of the leader of the movement make sure that they denounce violence, because they want to weaponize that minority, that people who are troublemakers, and it distract from the bigger picture. And so that's really important that we continue the protest, no matter which way it fits. Us journalists, um, informing people, activists, taking to the streets and protest.